Imagine you walk into an animal shelter. You're staring at a litter of 9 kittens, 4 tabbies and 5 black kittens. You are going to randomly adopt exactly 2 of them. So what are the exact odds that you walk out with 1 tabby and 1 black kitten? If you're struggling to calculate that in your head right now, honestly, don't worry. Most people do. It is so easy to get totally tangled up in the numbers. But by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand how to visualize any probability problem using 2 incredibly powerful tools. We'll cover the formulas behind them and exactly how to apply them to real-world examples. We're essentially building a visual toolkit that acts as the ultimate cheat code for conditional probabilities. No more guessing, just absolute certainty. All right, mapping timelines. Let's look at our first tool, the tree diagram. Think of a classic example. You have a bucket containing 11 balls, 3 red, 8 blue. Every single time you reach in and draw a ball, reality basically splits into distinct branches of possibilities. Your first draw creates 2 main branches, red or blue. Then when you go in for your second draw, those timelines split again. You map out step 1, and then map step 2 branching right off of it. It literally ends up looking like the branches of a tree growing across your paper. Now, a super common question students ask here is, okay, I drew the branches, I labeled them with fractions, but how do I get the final number at the very end? Am I adding these fractions or multiplying them? The answer? We multiply. The reason is that each step along a branch represents an and condition. You are calculating the probability of event A happening and then event B happening. So if your chance of drawing a red ball first is 3/11ths, and your chance of drawing another red ball is also 3/11ths, you multiply them. 3/11ths times 3/11ths equals a 9 out of 121 chance. Just remember, multiply across the timeline. But wait, this brings us to a major trap. With versus without replacement. This is absolutely crucial, guys. We have to watch out for this mistake before we even try to solve our kitten problem, because it catches almost everyone. There's a massive difference between with replacement and without replacement. If you draw a ball, look at it, and put it back, that's with replacement. Your total pool stays at 11. The denominator doesn't change. But if you keep it, like, say, adopting a kitten, where you definitely don't put the first one back, you're drawing without replacement. Your total sample pool shrinks. That means your denominator drops for the second draw. Started with 11, kept 1, now your second draw is out of 10. So let's bring this back to our kittens. We have 9 kittens total. To get 1 of each color, there are 2 successful paths on our tree. Path 1, we pick a tabby first, which is 4/9, and a black kitten second. Since we didn't replace that first tabby, there are only 8 kittens left, making our second fraction 5/8. Multiply those together, and you get 20 out of 72. But wait, there's a second path. We could pick the black kitten first, 5/9, and the tabby second, 4/8. Multiply those, and boom, another 20 out of 72. Add those 2 successful timelines together, and we see our odds of getting 1 tabby and 1 black kitten are exactly 40 out of 72. Okay, let's switch gears to overlapping realities and our second tool, Venn diagrams. We've seen how timelines branch sequentially, but what happens when realities overlap simultaneously? Think of your sample space, this big outer box, as a giant sorting bucket holding absolutely every possible outcome. Inside this box, we draw smaller circles. These represent specific events, and sometimes those circles overlap, meaning an outcome belongs in more than one bucket at the exact same time. Let's ground this with a real-world example from the text involving college students. In our total sample space, 40% of students belong to a club. We'll call that circle C. 50% work part-time. That's circle PT. But here's the overlap. 5% of the students do both. They are in a club and they work part-time. They sit right there in the middle intersection. Which leads us perfectly into the and versus or rule and putting these formulas into action. The real magic is how we use this visual to find the exact probability of a student being in a club or working part-time. Not necessarily both, just one, the other, or both. Let's build this formula piece by piece. First, you might think, just add the 2 main probabilities together. So we take the club circle, 0.40, and add the part-time circle, 0.50. But hold on, look closely at that overlap. If we just add 0.40 and 0.50 to get 0.90, we've made a massive mathematical mistake. We literally double counted the students in the middle. We counted that 5% when we added the club circle, and then counted them again with the part-time circle. And that is exactly why we have to complete the formula by subtracting the overlapping and section. We take 0.40 plus 0.50 and then subtract that 0.05 overlap so it only gets counted once. That gives us a final, perfectly accurate probability of 0.85. 85% of the students are either in a club, working, or doing both. So whenever you see or in probability, your brain should immediately think, add them up, but subtract the overlap. This overlapping visual is also amazing for conditional probability. What if I ask, what's the probability a student is in a club given that we already know they work part-time? That phrase given that acts like a giant spotlight. We just ignore the rest of the big box and shrink our entire universe down to just the part-time circle, the 0.50. Out of that specific 0.50, what piece is also in a club? Just the 0.05 overlap. So 0.05 divided by 0.50 gives us 0.1, meaning there's a 10% chance they're in a club given they already work part-time. The visual just makes the math so obvious. Let's wrap up this toolkit with a quick summary. Before we finish up, here is your cheat sheet for your next test, or the next time you randomly adopt pets. Use tree diagrams when events happen in sequence, step by step. Remember to multiply along those branches, and always check for the trap. If it's without replacement, drop that denominator. On the flip side, use Venn diagrams when events overlap simultaneously. And if you're calculating an or probability, add your circles together, but always subtract the and overlap to avoid double counting. These two tools honestly turn confusing equations into super simple logical puzzles. I'm going to leave you with a final challenge to test out your new toolkit. Imagine a bookstore. The probability a customer buys a novel is 0.6. The probability they buy a nonfiction book is 0.4. And the probability they buy both is 0.2. So what is the exact probability that a customer buys either one? Draw out your Venn diagram, map those circles, watch out for the double counting trap, and tune into the next explainer to see if you nailed the answer. Keep learning, keep visualizing, and I'll